Welcome to the Productpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Jalarzak, product development and marketing coach and mom of three. Learn from and get inspired by women entrepreneurs killing it in the product space. Each episode, we will share the latest trends, proven strategies, and inside secrets of the product world, all designed to give you greater confidence to create your own success through a product venture. Let's do this. Welcome to the Productpreneur Podcast. I am honored to share this next guest with you. She is an inspiration and such a gem of a person. Before we move on with the show, I'll share a listener review. This one is from Robin Graham from the USA. Super! Nicole is brilliant when it comes to marketing and business and sheds much light on launching a product, including branding and marketing it. Her interviews are always informative and her questions applicable to all productpreneurs and entrepreneurs in general. Robin Graham, host of the Second Phase podcast, at the Robin Graham on Instagram. Thank you so much, Robin. I'm so happy to hear that you find this podcast informative. Actually, Robin was on the show in one of the earlier episodes all about branding. Reviews like this mean so much to me, and also, in case you're not aware, it pushes the show into the hands of more people. If not, podcasts can get lost. So if you're listening and love the podcast, please take a few seconds to jump on Apple Podcasts through your iTunes account, click on ratings and reviews, and add a review. It only takes a minute and you'll be sending some good vibes into the world. Also, you may have heard that I'm offering a one-on-one strategy session at this time. This is perfect for you if you'd like help with scaling your product business or if you're thinking of launching a product. We'll talk about your business or idea and you'll walk away with action items. And I'll let you know what working with me is like, if it's a fit. You can go to NicoleJalarzak.com and book it there or click on the link in the show notes. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Lola Tomorrow, visionary, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and founder of the Tomorrow Experience. Lola Tomorrow is the brains and power behind the TMRWLive virtual experience. That's spelled TMRWLive. She's an accomplished events executive with more than 15 years of experience curating highly successful and revenue-generating corporate events, galas, conventions, and industry conferences. Her mission with TMRWLive is to help faith-driven women in business gain access to community, capital, and connections to expand their reach, impact, and influence globally. Former aide to Michelle Obama, multi-industry influencer, philanthropist, angel investor, executive director, and multiple six-figure earning event and business strategist are just some of the hats that Lola wears. Her unique gift is such, creating strategic connections to maximize the impact of women and business leaders globally. We chat about how faith and business can go hand in hand, mindset tips to build a seven-figure business, how vision can help you raise funds and make things happen, the importance of mentors, and so much more. This was an inspiring conversation, and it certainly made me think differently about how I incorporate my faith into my business. So let's hear from Lola. Welcome, Lola. Thank you so much for joining our show.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I just thought your background was so interesting, and I know that my listeners will just be fascinated, but also really inspired. So I'd love for you to tell us about your journey to entrepreneurship and how you got to where you are today.
Actually, I always like to say I actually became an entrepreneur on accident. It was not intentional. I just stumbled upon entrepreneurship. So by profession, I am a corporate event planner. I've been planning corporate events at this point for approximately 15 years. And, I graduated with a degree in event marketing. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life, which was plan events. And I became this event planner. Little did I know, within the first year of me being out of college, I would get an opportunity to work on events at the highest level. And I was working for an organization by the name of National PTA, Parent Teachers Association. And I was just doing what I do, planning their event, taking care of the logistics. And right before this event, we got news that First Lady Michelle Obama was going to be our keynote speaker. So First Lady Michelle Obama comes to this event. She's the keynote. And obviously you're dealing with White House staff, advance, and all of that good stuff. And I'm just doing what I do best. I pay attention to detail. I'm pretty great at planning events. And little did I know, one of her team members, they were watching me the entire time. And after the event, they literally walked up to me and said, "Hey, you should be on the team with us." And the rest is history. And so I started traveling the world with the First Lady planning. I served on what's called an advance team, advancing her events and advancing different appearances and things like that she would have. And from there, my career just really took a life of its own. I started taking on large contracts, the Grammy Awards, the Oscars, major conferences, major conventions. My sweet spot in event planning was events that drew anywhere between maybe 5,000 up to 75,000 attendees. I am really a master conference planner. And so while doing that, one day out of nowhere, I felt this inspiration to go back home. And home was Chicago. I was living in DC at the time. I felt this inspiration to go back home and to start an organization for inner city teen girls. Now I was really confused because at this time I'm probably in my mid 20s, and you know how teenagers are, and teenage girls on top of that. And I kept telling I don't even know if I like teen girls. Why would I start an organization with teen? Like, that doesn't make sense. But it's one of those things where it was a divine moment. It was a moment of fate. I came back home and I started this organization, and I thought this organization was going to be 50 girls on a high end, 25 girls on average we would serve. The first event I had, there were over 700 girls that purchased tickets to come to this event. And I remember week after week, because keep in mind, I only planned for 50. And week after week, as tickets would keep selling out, I'm just like, how are they even hearing about it? Like, there was no celebrity attached to it. It was just a well put together event. And so that was my first journey into entrepreneurship. I didn't know I was becoming an entrepreneur. I just wanted to serve those that I felt was ignored, and those girls that were not given the same resources as girls in different zip codes or girls of different backgrounds. So what started off as just a passion project of me having a heart to make sure girls that looked like me had the resources that I was getting. All the things that I was exposed to as an adult, traveling the world, doing these different events, all I could think about is, what would my life be if I had went to another country as a teenager? What would my life be like if I knew some of the things that I'm learning as an adult, if I had those opportunities in the inner city? So what started from that passion grew into an actual business. And here we are now, 10 years in, serving a little over 5,000 teen girls throughout the city of Chicago. So that was my first intro to entrepreneurship. The second intro to entrepreneurship is I kept getting called on to do large events. People wanted to hire me. They really wanted to hire me full time, but I didn't want to be hired full time. Once you get a kick of controlling your own schedule and working on your own time, it's difficult to go back into that 9-to-5 life. And so what I would do is, when these corporations will reach out, hey, we want you to come and help and run our events department, I would say, no, I can't do that full time, but you can contract me, thinking they would just say no. And they were like, oh, great, we'll contract you for a year. And so my event planning agency started because I had so many people asking for my help, and I did not want to be locked into one full-time position. So I started an event planning agency that grew way faster than I could have ever caught up to. And so that's how I jumped into entrepreneurship. I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs, so my entire journey has been trial and error, doing something the wrong way and figuring out, oh, don't do it like that. Do it a different way. And so that's a little bit of my journey.
Wow, that's amazing. I just love that you felt the need to give back to girls. Like, that's just so incredible, and how you just didn't plan it. You just felt called to do it, and they came. So that is truly amazing. And then how you grew your business just by being the best in the business, basically, and being sort of desired. And then you felt like, wow, I could make this, scale it. Because a lot of people have maybe a consulting business, but they don't know how to scale it further than them. But you did that. You scaled it. So that is pretty incredible. Now, I will ask you later about working with Michelle Obama, because that is so incredible. But I just wanted to ask you, did you overcome any hurdles? Like, it sounded pretty smooth sailing until this point. Did you have any things kind of getting in your way?
All right. Is everybody sitting down? Because there's so many. I mean, here's the thing. Very early in my journey as an entrepreneur, I was running off 100% passion. I was passionate about the work. I was passionate about seeing girls' lives being transformed. I was passionate about seeing a girl come into my program telling me, we had a GPA requirement. There was this girl, I'll never forget this, because she probably changed my life. Actually, she did. She came into the program and she wanted to be an iGlow girl. In order to be an iGlow girl, you have to have at minimum a 3.3 GPA. I tend to be extremely strict on things like that, mostly because of the color of their skin, they have it harder. I can't allow them to be just C student average. They have to work harder. It is what it is. And so there's this 3.3 GPA. If you don't have the GPA, we had a partnership with the university at the time where you would go through tutoring. We would get you help to get you where you need to be. This one young lady, she came to me and she was in tears and she said, I'm just not smart. Like, I understand you want us to have a 3.3 GPA, but I am not smart enough to do this. And the highest I've ever gotten was a C average. And I said to her, in the moment, that's, because here's the thing, there are students that have learning disabilities. That's a real thing. And so I wanted to make sure this was not a student that had a bigger issue that I didn't know about. So I went and I spoke to her teachers, and her teachers like, oh, she can do better. She's not applying herself. I made this young lady a bet. And I hate saying this out loud, but I didn't think she was going to do it. But I made a bet. I told her I would give her $1,000 to go shopping for clothes if I didn't even ask for straight A's. I told her if she had a 3.5 GPA for 2 semesters. That young lady got straight A's for her entire journey through high school. What she really showed me was that a lot of times it's not that these girls can't, it's that they don't have anyone in their life that's stretching them, that's requiring them to stretch the standard. And so when you're doing work like that and you're seeing a girl who thought she could not do better than C average now get full rides to Ivy League schools, I was running off passion because we were making some impact. And the first year in business, I was homeless. And it was very confusing to me because I couldn't understand how I went from making high 6 figures in my career to now sleeping in the backseat of my car. And I remember being back there, and I remember I gave all my money to the organization, all of it. If a girl couldn't pay for a program, I'll pay for it. If somebody couldn't do something, I'll do it. And just running off all passion and no wisdom on systems, no wisdom on structure and all of that good stuff. And so that was the first trial that I went through as an entrepreneur. The second trial was years later. I still didn't learn. I was bankrupt years later. Now, again, I had an 800 credit score. I've always been very diligent about my bills and being responsible. But I was operating in business and I was so ignorant to so many things. I did not know what I didn't know. And so those pretty large, what appeared to be failures, it put me in a position now as a business owner. I am very aware of my weaknesses and I staff my weaknesses, right? I'm not a numbers person, right? You tell me a budget, chances are I'm going to spend 3 times that. That's just my personality. So for me, having an accountant on staff is a must-have for me because I have to have accountability financially. If not, somebody will come crying like, okay, I'll give it to you for free. And so what I had to learn how to do was through my failures or what appeared to be a setback, I had to really learn from those and learn how to create systems that will help me maintain a business that will have longevity. A lot of people are attracted to, I want 6 figures. I want to make millions. I want to do X, Y, and Z. Let me tell you a secret. The easiest part is making it. You can easily make 6 figures. I promise you can. In an easy way, you can make $1 million. The hardest part is keeping it. How can you maintain it? How can you grow it? That is the more difficult part. And I had to learn that through trial and error throughout my journey.
Wow. How old are you, may I ask?
I'm 35.
You are so young and wise. I love it.
I feel older.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. So yeah, systems, that is a huge one for sure. And to someone who's an outsider probably looks at you and go, wow, like you were bankrupt, you were homeless. Like that is shocking. And just to hear that you worked with Michelle Obama and you've had all this experience, but you say the root of that was because you were so generous and giving to the people that you served and you needed to build those systems to be able to grow your business as well.
Absolutely. And here's the thing about I am a giver. I am the type of person that wakes up in the morning and the first thing on my mind is blessing a stranger. I am the type of person that literally walks downtown to look for homeless people to feed. I am the person when no one is looking, I'm taking care of the person that's abandoned. It's my nature. It runs through my body. I live and I embody this. So when you take a person like that has a heart to give, a heart to serve others, what I had to learn and wisdom has taught me through time is you have to have discipline in your giving. No one has ever talked about the concept of being disciplined in how you give. It's just, oh, no, give until it hurts. Give until you're depleted. And that's not the way I currently live my life. I give for my overflow. My reserve is for me. That goes for my time. That goes for my money. That goes for my resources. I give to others from my overflow, especially I'm sure this dynamic will change once I'm married with children and I have to learn a new norm for me. But I'm a single woman, and so where I am at in life, I have the ability to give from my overflow. I'm sure for people that might be mothers, that might be wives, sometimes you have to choose, right? You have to choose where I have to prioritize my kid because my kid needs me, or have to prioritize this. But in this phase of life, one thing that I am learning, and I'm so grateful to God to learn this in this phase, because what I realize is the behavior I practice in my singlehood will be the same behavior I practice in motherhood, and the same behavior I practice as a wife. And so in this season, learning that you can love people, you can give. I literally have a heart for homeless people. I don't know what it is. I will not give them my money, but I believe every human on earth should eat. And so I am the type of person, I cannot be in any environment and someone wants to eat and not feed them. But now I have a budget, okay? My budget is $250 a month. After I've given away $250 in meals. Okay, you have to wait till next month to be able to eat, So me having some discipline and some parameters on how I give so that I'm not bankrupt emotionally, bankrupt physically, bankrupt financially like I was before.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And it's such a parallel to motherhood, because as mothers, we tend to give, and then we deplete ourselves. And like they say, you got to put on the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help others. It's the same thing with giving. It's just like you've got to first help yourself, or else you're not going to be able to help others in the future. So that's a very, very good point. Now, you created something recently called TMRWLive. Can you speak about what that is and how it helps women?
Yes. So let me tell you where it came from. So I don't know how many years ago, but years ago, I was at an event with First Lady Michelle Obama and Ellen. They were sending 250 teen girls to prom, and I was advancing that trip. And I'm standing in this room, and probably weeks leading up to this event, I had been praying like, God, why am I here? Everybody's looking for purpose. Everybody's looking for their why. Why am I here on earth? What am I here to do? I had been in the place where I knew my purpose was to serve girls and women. I knew that, but I didn't know the blueprint. I didn't know exactly what that would look like. Would that be something I could live off of? Is that just something I do on the side? And I'm standing at this event, First Lady and Ellen, they're on stage, and God speaks to me in a very divine way that I had never, even to this day, I've never experienced anything like that. And he downloaded the blueprint for my purpose. And the blueprint for my purpose was that I was given access to tables, resources, and opportunities because he wanted me to be a connector. It was my job to connect people to their next. There were going to be people that needed different things in business, different resources, and I was going to get access to those resources, and I needed to connect them. And so from there came this event, TMRWLive. And TMRWLive is an event for women of faith in business. And there were two real core pillars I had behind this event. The first one is I wanted to help women of faith understand that they can carry their faith in their business without being creepy, right? When you think about faith and you think about business, like, oh, it's the person that's wearing the hat that says, I love God, or they're giving you scriptures or meditations every day, all day. But how can I actually have my faith as a pillar in my business without saying God's name one time? How can my essence represent something that's much larger than me? How can I be in a room with complete chaos, but when people encounter me, they feel peace? And I wanted to introduce women of faith to this concept that God is your silent strength. He's not the thing that you have to yell out over the microphone so everybody knows. I wanted them to be able to understand that you can dominate still with partnering with God. That's the first thing. The second thing is I wanted them to have exposure and access to things that they were not accustomed to having access to. So right away, I already knew for someone that might consider themselves highly religious, I love them. My mother is probably considered highly religious, but highly religious women will not connect with my brand. Because if you are highly religious and you look through life through the lens of religion, it's going to be hard for you to see things at the angle in which I feel like God has presented for me to show them. And so with that, I wanted speakers. I didn't want your church speakers I don't want those speakers. I want speakers that are dominating in the world. I want people that actually have tangible results that can come and teach us. I wasn't interested in presenting just fluff or making people feel good. And the woman that kept dropping in my mind was Kris Jenner. And as she kept dropping in my mind, I literally fought myself for maybe a month because I was like, one, I could never get Kris Jenner. How could I get her? Two, she wouldn't do anything like this. Like, she just wouldn't. Three, can't afford Kris Jenner. And so long story short, after really resonating with that and feeling I had a green light, I went after her. And God just being God, I got her. And the main concept of this event, TMRWLive, is to present a bridge of faith and business for women in business. I don't know if a lot of people even realize that Kris is she's a believer, and I get it, but she's not coming to teach, she's not coming to read scriptures to us. She's coming to give us a business strategy. And so what I've done is I got Kris Jenner, and then I have another young lady by the name of Sarah Jakes Roberts, who is a pastor. I have them coming together to really present this event to where our faith and our business can work hand in hand. And so this experience is really an experience for women that are, and this is who I'm called to. I am called to women of faith in business that feels like they're called to make 6 figures and 7 figures in business. If they do not have a goal of wanting to make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures or 7 figures, this is not the space. But this is for women that really want to dominate in their market. And this event is really meant to be a bridge to connect those women to their resources. We have all type of corporate partnerships happening. Right now, we just recently partnered with a large billboard company where they're putting hundreds of women that come to our event on digital billboards throughout the United States. It's a billboard company called Blip. And we have this amazing partnership. So my goal is to connect women to their next. And I'm able to do that through this event, TMRWLive.
It's so amazing. Oh my gosh, you gave me chills when you were talking about just that bridge between business and faith. And I think many people look for that bridge and they don't know where to find it. I just feel like there's a lot of talk about manifestation and what that can do for you. But that is really connecting your faith with your business, because it's like, it's out there. It's for you. You're meant for more. God is there to help you. And it's really having that faith to make it happen. And a lot of people lose that. I believe there's the idea of faith and business. Most people would think doesn't mix together, but I think people are seeking that and they're trying to do that more and more. Would you say that's the case?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I'm speechless at how many corporations I have gone to over the last few months. And I have gone to these corporations being very clear. I want to serve women of faith in business, and I want to partner with you. Will you partner with me? And you know what? I expected them to say no. I was just trying to check it off my list to say, oh, well, God, I did it. You told me to do it. I did it. I'm just being honest. They said yes. Because 20 years ago, I come from the corporate event space. I'm sitting around tables at these major events, these major productions. They don't want to touch anything that has faith attached to it.
No, right.
They don't want to be a part of anything like that. But what is happening is the way our world is transitioning and the way our world is going. corporations, people in general, no matter what your faith is, no matter what your belief is, people are starting to realize that people are trying to depend on a source that is larger than themselves, regardless of what your faith might be, regardless of what that source might be for you. And I think corporations are starting to understand that, and they're starting to understand that this is connected to people keeping their sanity. This is connected to the way people are showing up for work. This is connected to how people are spending money, and they're more open to the conversation now. And it's actually a beautiful transition. And so it's my job to help that this transition is happening in our world. It is my job to help position faith-driven business owners to not go into these spaces and mess it up. This is not the space for your loud t-shirt and you passing out tracts. This is not the way you represent your faith. Your faith can be represented without saying God's name one time. And so that is another piece of this strategy that I am seeing that is really needed, because people don't know how to do it. People are intimidated to even talk about God in the workplace because they're afraid of the offense, or they're afraid of how someone else might feel. And I just think times are now changing where those conversations are more welcomed now.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear. You're right that usually the word faith or anything like that, people want to stay away from in business because they're just worried about offending someone. But it's nice to hear that it is talked about and that people are looking for it and businesses are looking to incorporate it somehow. And I'm curious about why help women, like why make it a conference for women and not everyone?
Yeah, that's been I tell you, there's at least 25 to 35 people in my inbox weekly, and they're men, telling me, why is this only for women? And, so I think the first thing is I feel called to women. I feel like I am supposed to help women get to another level. Most of the women that I have been surrounded by or that I've encountered, we deal with so many different mental barriers connected to us getting to our next. We deal with the self-sabotaging. Am I good enough? Can I do this? So there's so many different things whereas I feel to help a woman get to her next, you have to work with a woman in a different way. And that's even in part of our conference. 35% of our teaching is on mindset. Because a lot of people think, oh, it's just because I don't have the right product or I don't have the right data. No, a lot of times you're not making money in your business. Actually, I'm going to jump out and say most times you're not making money in your business. It's because of your mindset. It has nothing to do with a product. It has nothing to do with you having a staff. It's mindset. And so I think the way a woman has to be transitioned through that process is very different than the way a man needs to transition through that process. And so I wanted to create a space that was for women. Even bigger than that, I also think women, I'm not a man, so maybe men feel the same way, but I think women also, especially women of faith who desire more in business, they crave community. They crave being around other women that have the same values. I mentor about 100 women that's in my one-on-one mentorship program. And I was talking to them and I said to them, we got to stop calling our business our babies. Because it's a mental thing. Because what happens is right now for you mothers on the line, if your baby was in the middle of the street and a car was coming, what would you do? Would you just let your baby get hit, or are you going to push your baby and willing to die for that kid if you needed to? Every mother was like, absolutely. We're not doing that level of sacrifice for our business. We're not sacrificing our families for our business. We're not sacrificing our relationships, the way we mother our kids, the way we show up for our spouses. We're not sacrificing that for our business. So transitioning our mindset to where it doesn't mean your business won't require sacrifice, but I'm not willing to die for my business. Maybe some people are. I'm not. I'm not willing to lose everything for the business. So again, it's that mindset piece, because my posture early in my business was I was willing to do. I would give all my money. I would give all my time. I would do anything to see the business get to the next level. Versus now, yeah, there might be some nights I don't get sleep. And there's some days I might have to sacrifice, but I'm not giving up everything for my business. So I say that to say that I wanted to create this environment because I felt like women needed a safe space where they can find community and we can have these open discussions. One of the women in my program, she has a son that has special needs. And right now she's growing her business. She's doing so many different things, but her kid needs her in a different capacity than what he's needed her in prior seasons. Right. And so we're talking and she's on the call. It's a few of us on the call and she's saying everything that's happening. And like we had to, it wasn't just me, it was the women in the community. We had to pull back a moment and remind herself, wait a minute, you got to give yourself some grace. You gotta give yourself some grace. Like you're in a new season and this was a season that you didn't plan for. Your kid needs you in a new way. And you know what? Sometimes you might have to sit this to, and that community and just seeing her just weep because the women in this community gave her permission to not always hit the mark and being okay with it. Being okay with in this phase of life, I need to pour more into my family and I have to show up for them. And so all that to say is that is the community that I'm creating for women, to whereas I think that needs to happen in an exclusive community and it can't happen in a community where men are present as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think what you said is so true that women go through mindset battles that not necessarily, like I'm sure men go through them too, but not as much, I don't think, to that extent. Like the piece about guilt and, always wanting to give, serve until we're depleted. So not being able to charge what we're worth is the result of that. And so I don't think men go through it to the same extent. And I know I see that when my husband points out to me, he's like, you're not charging enough for this and that or whatever. And it's just like, oh, I wouldn't have seen that from a woman's point of view. I see it totally differently. So I think you're so right. And then, just the fact that there are a higher percentage of men who make the 7-figure mark than women. We all know that is a true statistic. So what is the reason behind that and how can we change that? So it's just amazing that you are focusing on women and helping them with all of this. Now, I know that you believe that relationships are very important to growing business. So how do you leverage relationships for growing your business?
Yeah, great question. The first thing is I live by a motto that relationships are currency. And I tell my women all the time, you're not broke. You just don't have the right relationships. They're currency. And when you really start to look at relationships as an actual currency, like you look at a dollar, you will manage those relationships differently. So for me, every next level of my life and in my business has come through a person. And so if a person is giving you access to your next, if you're a person who manages relationships poorly, you will never get to your next. And this is what I mean by that. When I did that event, I live downtown, by the way. So I don't know if you hear I never realized how loud it was until I do a podcast. But what I mean by saying relationships are currency is that for me, when I got the opportunity to work with the First Lady, I didn't just get a letter in the mail. It was someone who encountered me, who built a rapport with me, who then gave me that. Even this event last year, when I was trying to put together this event, the first thing I thought about was budget. I had a friend that came to me and said, hey, I want to invest in your business and I'm going to finance the entire conference. Relationships are currency. And so I think the way I manage those relationships is the first thing is building relationships with people that I can create an environment where it's not just me taking, but I can create an environment of me giving as well. That's important to me. There's something for me to bring to the table. I'm the type of person, I'm not going to show up at your house for dinner and not bring anything. So there's something for me to bring to the table, just as well as there's something for me to eat once I get there. At this age, 35, I feel older than what I probably am, but at 35, relationships have to be mutually beneficial. If it's not mutually beneficial, that means that you're an assignment for me. And so I have to be clear. This is someone that is an assignment. I am assigned to help this person in this way versus this is someone I'm now building a relationship with, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, so on and so on. The next piece for that for me is making sure I show up. So little things, and this is something one of my mentors taught me. I was not good at this. I am not a very relational person by nature. I have like my 2 close friends and that's it. But my mentor taught me how to be relational. So for example, I recently launched a new business partnership with someone. And though I didn't have to do this, I sent a beautiful arrangement of flowers and a little gift to thank this person for going into this business relationship with me. Learning how to be relational like that, learning how to create moments. If there's someone in my assistant keeps in my calendar, the birthday, whether it's a birthday of a kid or birthday of a spouse, like birthdays, whether I send an email or we actually mail a gift, being intentional about doing small things that make it to where people don't forget you, right? People will forget who you are and what you do. They'll never forget how you make them feel. And so for me, as I build relationships, I am constantly looking for ways to create an experience. Even if you don't talk to me for 20 years, when you talk to me again, you're like, she did that really nice jet. She did not have to do that. I was having a rough day. And that was just so, and so being intentional to create experiences so that you're just not someone that people would forget. And so those are some of the things I do to maintain my relationships, because I really do see the power in them at this point.
Oh, I love that. And I especially love like the small things that kind of show your gratitude and not just taking others for granted. And also leaving others with a feeling of increase. I think that's what you just impressed upon me. It's just like, that person, wow. And I think that's what we all strive to be, but sometimes we forget it because we get so busy and frantic and we forget the importance of really being intentional, as you said, with other people. So that's amazing. And you mentioned something about funding, how you got funding from someone who just said, I want to sponsor your event. How would you advise women who are trying to raise funds for their business? What's the best way for them to do this when they're just starting out?
I'm not an expert at this, so I can only just give from my perspective and my journey. The first thing that I've learned is that money, resources, opportunities are always attracted to vision. That's something one of my mentors tell me all the time. Vision. If you focus on expanding the vision will attract money. The vision will attract opportunities. Sometimes we do it backwards. Well, we want the money, the opportunities, all of that, and then we'll expand the vision. So a lot of times what I try to tell my entrepreneurs, which is what I've been taught from a mentor, is that focus on expanding the vision. Because when the vision is there, you're going to attract investors. You're going to attract people. And so this investor that came to me was attracted because the Tomorrow Live that people see today that has Kris Jenner and thousands of women attending it, that started off as an event that had 50 women. But it was a vision that I had, and someone came a part of it and they saw something bigger and they put multiple six figures behind it to expand it to be what it's becoming. And so that's ultimately my advice for women. Again, I'm not an expert in funding all of that. So my advice is, hey, focus on the vision. Focus on expanding the vision. And before you know it, you're going to find ways, whether that person or that investor or that opportunity finds you because they see the vision, or you find them.
I love that. Yeah, and it's kind of similar to when they say manifesting, because you are thinking of that vision. And even though it's not there yet and you don't know how you're going to get it, it's just, it's going to come and then things are going to be attracted to you. And I think that's such a great piece of advice, especially for women out there who want to start a product business and who sometimes think small. So like it doesn't serve you to think small. And you're saying, think big and really talk about your vision, and that will help. So I think that's amazing. Now, I know you believe in multiple streams of income. How can women with product businesses leverage multiple streams of income to grow their business?
I feel like I have a story for everything, which is funny because it reminds me of my mom and my grandmother, and they're annoying. So I'm like, oh no, am I becoming them? Here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is approximately maybe 4 to 5 years ago, I was working in business and I was making approximately $50,000 a month. That was the most at the time that I had ever made consistently per month. I was on top of the world, $50,000 a month. But let me tell you, though I was making money and I was making it many different ways, I was not serving my clients well, because though I had these different opportunities, I had these different things happening, I had not built solid systems and a solid foundation for these businesses. And though money was coming in, my service sucked. And so after doing that for like 3 or 4 months, I had to have a come to Jesus with myself, where it's like, okay, I'm feeling like the way I'm serving people lacks integrity. It lacks the essence of the experience I want people to have when working with me. And so though having 4 or 5 streams of income is very sexy and very attractive to people, for me right now and where I'm at and my capacity to build, I need to focus on just one, or I need to focus on just two. And so I had to shut down multiple businesses so that I can focus on one business. Sometimes I think entrepreneurs are so anxious for multiple streams that we forget to perfect the one that we have. We forget
That's so true.
to create the systems, to create the different things. I am a huge fan of diversifying your income. 2020 taught me that like none other. I am a corporate event planner. I plan large scale corporate events. In a matter of 30 days, every event on my calendar in 2020 was canceled. So if I did not
Right.
have multiple streams of income, I would have went under. So I'm a huge fan of multiple streams of income, but I'm also a huge fan of women doing that with progressing to get to that point. And you really focus on your service. These are the points. So I love to say this because this is what being a woman of faith means. Being a woman of faith, again, does not mean you need to scream God's name to the mountaintop. Being a woman of faith means when no one's looking, when nothing could be necessarily public, you still have the heart and the position to do things with integrity. Being a woman of faith means you choose integrity over making money. You choose how you serve people over just having nice bags and cars. And so for me, that is the advice I'm always giving people, because though now I have multiple streams of revenue and they're all functioning and all flowing, I have to walk people through that journey, that it has been a journey to get it here. And instead of me trying to do everything at once, I had to do it gradually. I sometimes, one business I focus on for 4 to 5 years before I introduce another stream of revenue. And so my first advice is for ladies to work on perfecting the systems and the streams of revenue that they currently have. Then from there, I think that I am always open to new opportunities. I am always open for something that makes sense, that fits into my lifestyle. And I just try to stay open, and those opportunities tend to find me. But I don't necessarily go looking for streams of revenue at this point. I like to focus on what I feel like God has put in my hand currently. And as new things present and I have peace about it, I'll go into those.
Yeah, I think that's great advice to really nail down whatever it is you're focusing on, and then to expand from there, and not to stretch yourself too thin to the point where you don't feel like you're delivering, which I think nobody likes that feeling of not feeling like they're giving their best, or that they're underserving their clients or whatever it is. And so you mentioned mindset is so important. What advice would you give entrepreneurs to build a strong mindset?
That's a great question. For me, I'm a huge fan of reading. Well, I like to say reading, but I'm an audiobook girl. But I'm a huge fan of just downloading information. I'm also a huge fan of coaching. I don't believe everyone needs it. I said this last night in a session where I had women talking about they needed a coach and they needed mentors. And I said to some of them, some of you don't need a coach right now. Some of you don't need a mentor right now. What you need is community. And because you're lacking community, your first thoughts are, oh, I need a coach, or oh, I need X, Y, and Z. But for those who are in a place to actually be able that needs coaching and can actually receive coaching, I'm a huge fan of coaching. When I started realizing my mindset around money, when I started realizing my mindset around even poverty, just something as little as, when you're growing up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, or no, you can't have that. And though, of course, your parents didn't mean any harm, but what it starts to do is it starts to set your mindset and your thoughts around money. So you start to think of money as a limited resource. So it can't flow to you in abundance because you think it's limited. Yeah. And so for me, working with a coach, downloading information, and also prayer. I am a huge component of prayer. Some people call it meditation, whatever you want to call it. I'm a huge fan of getting still, like, especially for women, especially for type A women like myself. My mind is always in the next. I was just telling my assistant,
because we have this event coming up. And I was just telling my assistant, I'm already in 2022 and 2023. Literally, I'm already there. I'm not even here with you guys. And so my mind is always moving and learning. There's a discipline to learning how to be present. And so in me learning how to just take a moment and be still and taking a moment and being present, it is helping to reset my mind. It is helping to renew my mind. It is helping to renew my thoughts. Even when it comes to how I perceive myself, I've always been special all my life. In elementary school, I've always been the person everybody was attracted to, everybody loved. But in being that popular person that everybody loved, everybody attracts to you, you're also a target for people to be jealous and people to be envious. And why her and why not me? And so for the bulk of my life, I would try to water down my greatness because I wanted everybody else to feel comfortable. But what I realized is as I was watering myself down, they still weren't comfortable. I had to go through some mindset work to release myself of the pressure of having to be what others need me to be to make them feel okay, and being able to rest in my greatness. And in resting in my greatness, knowing that I can rest in my greatness and not be prideful. I can be confident and still have a humble and meek spirit. And so that mindset work happens for me through downloading information, coaching, meditation, prayer, being intentional. Like for me, even right now, something that I'm currently working on is I am a perfectionist. I want to say I can't help it. My coach just told me yesterday to stop saying that. I like things to be right. I like it to be perfect. And what I realize is that when you have a massive vision and you're going to make a massive amount of money and employ people, one, as a leader, you don't want that environment where your team has to live to a standard of perfection. That's stressful, and nobody wants to work with a person like that. And so as I am going through this process of renewing my mindset, renewing my mind, these are the tools that I have in place. And that coaching piece is really good because the coaching makes me become accountable. It makes me have to show up and say that the thing that I label perfection is actually procrastination, just packaged in a nice, pretty package that say perfection. It makes me feel better about myself. To have to make me have to actually deal with that and makes me have to walk through those. So those are the things that I personally work on and I do to work on my mindset.
That's so awesome. And actually, what kind of coach do you have? And you mentioned mentors. What kind of mentors do you have? I'm sure everyone's curious because, they want to follow in your path.
No, I get it. So here's the interesting thing. My life at this point in business is pretty staffed. Like I work with a lot of people. So I have a money mindset coach. And this is a coach that I literally work with to deal with my mindset around money. This was the coach that helped me break into multiple six figures in business, helped me break into over $500,000 in business. And the next thing is going to help me break into seven figures in business. The mindset, the way I talk about money, the way I perceive money, the way I see money. And so I also then have a spiritual mentor. This is someone, so for me, my faith and my spirituality is the foundation of my life. Everything that I do, everything that I build, everything that I grow is from there. So this spiritual mentor is just someone that kind of keeps me accountable. When you're in business and you're doing business at the level that I'm doing and trying to do it, it is easy to put your faith in your back pocket and just do business. Sometimes I want to. I'm like, please, I just want to cuss this person out like real good because they know they shouldn't have did that. Just let me do it. And so my spiritual mentor is very helpful because it keeps me grounded in there. I also work with a leadership coach. I am really big on leading people and leading people well. I am really big on people who work for me. Yes, I might make you uncomfortable. I am going to stretch you beyond your limits and what you thought you could possibly do. But one thing I want you to feel is a healthy work environment. I want you to feel like you have a leader. My coach asked me this the other day, actually. My coach said, hey, do you want to be a leader that's liked or respected? I was like, respected? You don't have to like me. I'm not here to be like, I want my husband to like me. You ain't got to like me. I want to be respected. So I work with a leadership coach that teaches me how to lead well and teaches me how to be the servant leader that I am. And I'm becoming even more. My leadership coach helps me with that. And then I have a business coach. My business coach really helps me with the foundational parts of my business, the systems, the making sure I'm not creating businesses. I am notorious for creating businesses with no systems. And so helping me make sure my business has systems, make sure I'm showing up for my business in a certain way. And then the last one, which is actually a recent thing, is I have a personal trainer who for 3 weeks now has been coming to my house 5 days a week to work out.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Amazing.
If anybody prays, pray for me with that. That's the hardest coach I got. I can deal with the rest of them. So that's currently how my life is staffed.
I love that. Okay, wait. The first coach was what kind of coach?
The money mindset coach.
The money mindset coach. Okay, money mindset, business, spiritual, leadership and
then
personal
my
trainer. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so if people think that you can just do it all on your own, I think let's challenge that, because no, like it really takes a shift in thinking, right? A shift in your behaviors, a shift in thinking to be able to get to that next level. I'm a huge believer in coaches. I feel like I always have one.
To be honest, the person who changed, so I have a mentor and she is a billionaire. And when I started really start to be intentional to study and watch the people's lives of the who I'm trying to not necessarily become, but I want to have a portion. I would love to be a billionaire. Somebody put that in the same sentence with my name. As I'm watching her life and I'm seeing how she has so much, she invests so much time, energy, money, resources in personal and professional development. Wow. It's not just her going on vacations every other year. Yeah, she goes on vacations and all that good stuff, but she's investing in doing the work behind the scenes so that she can be this person that she wants to be when nobody's looking. And that's really the person who gave me the structure to kind of build my life like this.
Amazing. And for those people out there who want to also incorporate faith in their business, do you have any advice for those people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the first thing that I would say is I would love for you to just think about, what does incorporating faith in your business look like for you, right? What does that look like for you? And I think that as you really begin to determine, so for so long, up until a year ago, I was never this public about faith. It was always a silent strength for me. I was in circles. I was traveling the world with the first lady. You can't be on the airplane. Okay, can I lead everybody into a prayer? No, I had to keep my faith, though it was how I lived my life and you felt the difference about me. It's not something I verbalized. A year ago, I was released. God released me to actually launch a business that was intentionally going after women of faith in business. And so sometimes I think people of faith feels like, oh, I have to put that on my website. If your business model is not tied into serving people of faith or doing something of faith, you don't have to put that on your website. That's not something that you have to put in. So I like to challenge people to really begin to look like, what does being a woman of faith look like for you? As you begin to assess what that looks like for you, how can I be a woman of faith and be in environments where there are people of different faiths, different backgrounds, different beliefs, and I can be in that environment and stand boldly in my faith and boldly in who I am without offending anyone in the room. So I would love to challenge them to determine what it looks like to be a person of faith. How can you be in a room with every other religion in the world and you can stand boldly in your faith and what you believe without offending anyone? I think that's important, because I think sometimes we have this thought of, oh, I'm just going to be this Christian. I'm going to scream it to the mountaintop. And for sometimes that's necessary, possibly. I don't know. It's never been necessary in my life, but maybe it's necessary for some people. But for me, it's all about, how can I go into this room and I get people asking questions about what's different about me? That is such a powerful thing. Whenever I am a part of a team, this has happened a few times in my life, where I'll have a CEO of a major corporation walk up to me and was like, it is something different about you. Like, what is it? And in my hearts of hearts, in my mind, I am saying mission accomplished, because people should be able to know there is a difference about us without us saying a word. It's in our presence. It's in our essence. It's in how we deal with conflict. It's in how we deal with situations when nobody's looking. And I think that those are some really key ways of incorporating your faith in your business. Another thing I'm really big on, and I say this all the time, I don't want to just know God. I want to have the character of God. I want to have his character. I want to have his essence. Now, I fail a lot, but my heart's desire every day is to have his character and to have his essence, and how I handle people, and how I deal with my employees, how I deal with my employees when they make a mistake, how I deal with them when they do something well. That is, for me, that is the core pillar about behind being a woman of faith.
That's beautiful, because I think what you said right there is just, it's what you do and how you behave when no one's looking, and how you treat others, and something that people don't even necessarily have to know about you. They just know something's different. That's amazing.
One thing I do want to share that happened that was pretty profound for me was I had, I run iGlow, which is a nonprofit for inner city teen girls.
Okay, actually, I wanted to ask. I didn't know what that was when you mentioned it before.
Yeah, iGlow is my nonprofit for inner city teen girls. When I first started it, I wanted it to be a faith-based organization where I wanted to talk about God. I wanted to talk about religion. So I really made it to be a faith-based organization. Within the first 4 months of me starting this organization, there was a girl who identified with the LGBTQ community, and she came to me and she was like, I really love this program. I want to be a part of it, but I don't want to have to be a part of prayer and have to read scriptures, and I just want a place that I can come and and the interesting part is that some people still challenge me to this day, because they're like, well, that was just one person. But the essence of what that young lady represented was the core of why I created this program. I didn't create this program to divide. I created this program to unite. And so within that year, we took all of the faith-based elements out of iGlow, and we made it an organization that is not faith-based. Now, when you come and you see our principles, faith is, you can kind of see it. If you read the principles, you can see it. But we have all types of girls in our programs. We have Muslim girls. We have girls that identify with the LGBT community. We have a transgender girls. And for me, that is the heart behind why I created this program. I didn't create this program for people to put, oh, the Christians are here and everybody else is there. And so for me, faith again looks like me being in tune with God. I know God told me to make that program and to make it to where every girl, regardless of anything, felt welcomed, felt loved, felt valued, and felt heard. And that's what I did. And so as women are looking for ways to include God in this is including God, right? This consulting God. God, what are your thoughts? How does this, I know what people are telling me to do. People are like, oh, no, you should just do it. Do it for the Lord. Keep it there. But God is saying, no, that's not what I want. I actually want you to create this environment. And what happens in environments like that is that you build trust and you build another level of intimacy to where I can't tell you, I never talk about God to my girls, ever. It never comes up in programming. I don't allow them to follow me on social media. And I cannot tell you how many girls have come to me. Can you pray for me? Can you help me? I have this situation that's going on. God's work still happens without it being labeled anywhere. And I just think that that's really powerful for me.
That's so powerful. And especially when you think about it, faith can be inclusive, as you're doing. It doesn't have to be divisive, because that's not what God intended, I would imagine. I would imagine he didn't intend for us to sort of divide everyone with faith. So yeah, that's incredible. I love that you recognize that and that you served everyone and included everyone. Now, I have to ask this. What was it like to work with Michelle Obama, and what did you learn from her?
There's so much. So the first thing is, during the years that I worked with her, I was young. I was in my early to late 20s. And I don't think it really hit me what I was doing. I mean, I was doing events with probably every major influencer, celebrity in this world. I don't think it really hit me that I was like, oh, wait, I'm at this person's house, or I'm at this studio with this person. And so it was a life-changing experience. I feel like the biggest thing that I've learned from her that I think is pretty amazing is having the life that I've now lived for the last, however many years. What I realize is a lot of times people show up publicly one way and they're another way behind the scenes. It's life. And what I really honored most about her and President Obama was that who people saw on TV was who we saw in the back rooms. It was who we saw when there was things going crazy. It was who we saw, like it was consistent. And I think that that experience really changed my life. And it even changed my perspective on leadership and how I handle things and how I am so big on, I could care less of what people think of me publicly. I care more about what those who think of me privately, because that's who I really am. And so it was just a game-changing experience. My mindset, even like now as a businesswoman, I don't have the ability to think small. Everything is global. And everything is global because I traveled the world with this person and I saw so much. I saw how many resources were here, how many opportunities were here, how many different things that if we as a people come together, united and not divided, what we could really do. And so it was game changing for me. I always tell people, because people always ask, oh, how is she? And I was like, wait, it's equivalent to me asking you if you work for a major company. It's equivalent to me asking you, oh, how is your CEO? You're not friends, right? Like if you work for Microsoft, you're not just chilling with, the CEO, But so I always have to remind people like, y'all, me and the first lady are not just getting coffee, okay? She don't just, sit down and have 3-hour conversations with me, okay? I work. But she was a delight to work for, and it was a pretty amazing time in my life and all of the amazing opportunities I got and the work that I got to do. And even now, years later, the connections that I'm able to still make because of that experience was pretty game-changing for me.
Sounds like an incredible way to just open your eyes to the world. And it's cool to know that she's exactly the same behind the scenes as she is as a leader. So, that's amazing. Wow, it's been such an incredible conversation. You are so fascinating and, again, wise beyond your years. I wonder if you could tell us, do you have any final advice or, words of wisdom for our listeners?
Yeah, so the thing that I would like to close with, this is something that I have learned and I am still learning, that as you go throughout business, God is really your superpower. He's your silent strength. When you learn to really partner with him, you will accomplish things that you had never thought was possible. And the cool thing I like about partnering with God in business as an entrepreneur is that I do my efforts, I do my part, and he then magnifies my part. He magnifies it, right? I put together an event, he then draws 5,000 people. That's not me, it's God. And so really understanding that he is our superpower and he is here and wants to aid us as we go on this journey of entrepreneurship.
I love that. Thank you. I think that's a beautiful reminder for everyone who's just trying to do it on their own, and just to know that you are not alone and you're supported. Okay, please tell us how people can find you and TMRWLive, because I understand you have a conference coming up.
Yes, TMRWLive is March 24th and 25th. You can find me on all social media platforms, Lola Tomorrow, and that's Lola Tomorrow, TOMORROW, on all social media platforms. And then the TMRWLive conference can be found at TMRWLive.com. That's TMRWLive.com.
Perfect. And that's a virtual conference that people can attend.
Yes, everything is virtual and it'll all take place online.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I think everyone will learn so much, but also just be super inspired. So thanks again.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Productpreneur Podcast. If you loved this episode, we'd be so grateful if you could take a sec to subscribe, share it, and review it on Apple Podcasts. Your review will help more women build their own dream product business. By the way, if you have any feedback, comments, or questions, email me at info@nicoledelarzac.com. Until next time, keep dreaming up those product ideas.